Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Preparing for Your Humanities Final Exams workshop. I'm so excited to have you here today. So, before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about our team. So, my role at UWGB is as an academic success coach, and there's actually two of us. So, there's me, Kristen Espinar, and there is Sam Lee. Now, an academic success coach is basically not the same as tutoring. We work in the learning center where we have tutors, we have academic success coaches, we have a lot of resources. So we have tutoring, which focuses on content, so helping you when you have a problem with your classes and not understanding the content of the classes. But academic success coaches work with a lot of different things that focus more on helping you establish better systems and habits. To put them in place for success. So things like time management, working on technology in education. We do offer ESL support, and we help you navigate the transition to college level learning. So I mentioned the TLC. We are located on the plaza floor of the Cofran Library, and these are the different things that we offer. So we do have academic success coaching. And like I said, this is basically to help you build better habits and systems to maximize your success at the college level. We have the tutoring. So we offer tutoring for a lot of different classes. So if you're struggling with the content of a class, you might want that. We have a writing center, so you can get specialized writing help. We have Brain Fuse, which offers 24-hour tutoring and essay correction services. And then we also do these free workshops for students. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about preparing for your humanities finals. And to be honest, there's a lot of different types of humanities finals. So sometimes you'll have a humanities class that just has like a final paper, or maybe you have to do a project, maybe a group project, a presentation. You might have an exam. So I personally like humanities finals because, especially if you have the papers, presentations, or projects, because you really have a lot of time to work on this, a lot of time to get support, and a lot of time to make sure that you are meeting the demands of the requirements for the task. Where as an exam, sometimes it feels like you kind of just have to prepare and guess. So it's good to already understand what you have to do for your humanities finals, and I would be looking at that well in advance. So that's the first thing that we're going to talk about here is getting organized for your preparation. Now, basically, one of the first things that I really recommend doing is beginning early. Now, ideally, you would begin about a month in advance, but honestly, if I were to do a class, if I were to be in college right now, I would be looking at the final exam on the first day of class. So I would take out the syllabus and I would understand how I'm being assessed throughout the course, and that includes the final exam. Because you need to know certain things, like if your finals are cumulative. So sometimes teachers will do an exam where you have a midterm exam which covers the content from the first part of the class, and then you have a final exam which covers the content from the midterm to the final. And other times teachers will just do totally cumulative and have a final exam that covers everything that you've learned. So you already should know this from the beginning because you can immediately start preparing. Every time you take a quiz, every time you create a study guide or get a study guide, you can be thinking ahead to what types of notes you need to take to be better prepared for the exam. So honestly, final exams should start at the beginning of your course, thinking ahead, looking ahead, understanding what you need to do now in order to save time for later. But when it comes to the serious prep, ideally you're going to start about a month in advance. Now, if you're just 2 weeks away and you're freaking out, like I don't have a month, it's okay. There's still a lot that you can do. Now, like I said, if your finals are cumulative, you want to keep detailed notes, you want to keep good study guides throughout the semester and stay really organized. You can probably use something like Google Drive to help you organize all of your content so that when you go back to review, you've done a lot of the work already. And like I said, you want to start with your syllabus, look ahead, always understand how you'll be assessed. I can't tell you how many times I talk to students and it's like a week before their finals and they don't even know what they have to do. You should really know this from day one. Now, most teachers offer office hours, so the next thing to do would be take advantage of those office hours. So make an appointment, go in, ask for study guides. You might want to ask for their best tips for preparing for the exam. And then you should also ask what types of questions are going to be on the final exam. You can ask what type of, what the structure will be. If you have a presentation or a paper, you might want to use the office hours just to make sure that you're on track with your work. So go in, show them rough drafts, share your ideas, share your resources, be checking in to make sure you're on track so that you know you're meeting the needs and the requirements of the task. Now, once you have an idea of the structure of the exam and you have like downloaded or gotten or revised or created any study guides or materials that you might need, then you need to break down on a planner when and how you're going to study. Now, if you've been following us, you know that I have this great power planning training, which the people who use it really love, and it really changes their approach to school. So I have a copy of this training in the Success Library, so make sure to check out that training. But basically, what you need to do is just break down how you're going to study on your planner. Now, for me, I like to use a digital planner, but a lot of people like to use paper planners. So just pull it out and look and just assign, like, okay, I'm going to review chapter 1 through 3 on this day, 3 through 5 on this day. Or you can say, like, okay, first I'm going to complete study guides 1 through 5 on this day, study guides 5 through 10 on another day. Then I'm going to review those study guides, and then I'm going to review in a group or review with a tutor or review with a friend. So kind of plan it out and then actually assign it to your calendar so that you just make that commitment to yourself about when you're going to do that work. As a little extra tip, give yourself extra time and definitely account for procrastination days. There's definitely going to be days that you don't want to do it. So you need to really put that into your calendar. Even now, if I have a big project due, I will do the same thing. And basically, if I have something due, I will, if it takes me 4 days to prepare, I'll give myself 6 days. And honestly, those first 2 days, I probably won't do anything, but it gets the assignment on in my brain and I know that it's coming up and I have to do it and I kind of like gear up to do that task. So I think that's a good little psychological tip that helps. Okay, here's some tips for office hours and talking to your teacher. Now, don't wait till right before the exam. Make sure as soon as you really start thinking about preparing for your finals that you make an appointment with your teacher to do the office hours. You just want to do this as soon as possible so you can get ahead of the game. While you're there, be sure to ask for a study guide. If the instructor does not have one, then you're going to have to create one yourself. So you need to ask what chapters will be covered and ask about like what key terms you'll need to know, what kinds of theories, course objectives. Ask if there's any extra practice resources that you can use. So really kind of grill your teacher about this so that you can create that structure on your own and get extra resources. And then talk about the structure. So ask about how that final exam is going to be structured. Is it open book? Is it closed book? What is the test question format going to be like? What are the best ways to prepare for the exam? After you have this meeting, you'll have a much better idea of what to expect with the exam and how to prepare for it. Okay, so once you get there, you really want to create your game plan, and first you want to identify what you need to do, then schedule it and review. So when you identify what you need to do, first you got to identify on the main things to focus on, which is why I asked you to ask your teacher about that in the office hours. So again, things like keywords and terms, key theories. Usually in humanities, you may need to provide examples. So if you have like a key theory that you're looking at, you will probably want to find some examples of that. Like maybe if it's for a history class, then you look at the theory and then you find examples of that, and then make sure to cite them and add them to your notes so that if you have to write an essay on exam day and you need to talk about the theory, you have your evidence ready to go. Um, be sure to know what chapters you need to review. Also, you can use any review tests, any quizzes in the past that you still have access to help understand the types of questions and the different kind of content that will be on there. Once you feel fairly confident with this, like I said, schedule it. So you're going to organize, break it down, the content in a manageable way. So this means looking ahead, not waiting to the last minute, making sure you have more than enough time. You're going to add it to your calendar. And like I said, add extra time for procrastination, for interruptions, complications. Now, reviewing is really important. So, first you're going to identify, then you're going to schedule it and actually, do it. And then you need to review the content. Now, there's a lot of different ways. You can book a tutor if they're available to review the content before the exam with you. So, just kind of have them quiz you. You could create a study group for reviewing with students in your class, or you could just review and test yourself on your own. You might be able to get your friends or family to help you review and test yourself as well right before the exam. If you have a good study guide and good notes, this should be easy. Okay, so now that you are well organized, you can really maximize how well you study. Okay, so here are some good final exam study tips. So the first thing to do is create a good study space. Um, Now, normally I recommend students make sure that they have a good study space, um, just in general. And the same thing is applicable to your final exams. You really need a place where you're going to be able to focus. So make sure it's quiet, there's no interruptions, comfortable, make sure you reduce distractions. So this totally depends on you. It could be that you need to go to the library, you can go to the learning center, maybe you're able to stay in your dorm room, go home. Wherever it is, you need to identify that place and make sure that that's a reliable and consistent place for you to study during your final exams. Now, there's really a lot of good study apps that you can use. You can use them for time management, avoiding procrastination, making lists, checklists. Also, you can use some to help you make study materials. So there's a ton of apps that can be helpful for you. Things like Quizlet and stuff. And then also, you'll want to make sure that you do practice tests. So if you know that you're getting an exam, or you know that you're going to have to talk about certain content and concepts from your books, look for practice resources. And there may be some in your textbook. You can just look at the end of your chapters and see if they have like a chapter review or a chapter practice test. Like I said, look for review tests. You can look for review summaries. Those can be helpful in creating study guides. And you may just want to ask your teacher for extra practice tests or extra resources. Now, there's a ton of good study apps out there to help you. Um, these are some that I've found really useful. So there's one that's called Go Conquer. This one has a lot of capabilities. You can use it to help create study tools, mind maps, flashcards, practice quizzes, etc. Probably it's something like Quizlet, and Quizlet would be another good one to use. School Track or Power Planner, these are study planners that can help you keep on track of your tasks. I always use Power Planner, and I have a whole Power Planning whole Power Planner trainings workshop. Um, but there's other ones out there. So use what works for you. I would use one that is geared more towards students than anything else, because like Power Planner has a lot of good features for students and really helps students get a good study plan set up. The Marinara timer is kind of cool. It's a little timer app that helps keep you motivated to study. It uses the Pomodoro method, but there's a lot of other methods that you can use to stay motivated and time yourself. And I'll talk a little bit more about the Pomodoro method in a minute. So for your final exam study tips, one thing that I'd like you to do is create group study sessions. So, of course, you don't have to. And I know we're in a pandemic, but you can definitely do this online and virtually. And it's a really effective way to study. When I was doing my master's degree, we had the craziest final exam for the whole like degree, and it wasn't a thesis or anything. It was a comprehensive exam, which meant that I had to memorize everything that I had ever learned in 2 years of studying, and I had to be able to cite it exactly. So what I did was created a virtual study group with 4 students, and we broke down all of the content and we studied over 4 months or a 3-month period of time, something like that. And then we all completely aced our comp exam because we broke it down, we divided the work, we worked together, we revised and reviewed the content together. It was very effective. Now, if you've had the benefit of having your courses be online or recorded, or having your professor post recordings online, this is a benefit to you because you can go back and review content that was a struggle for you. And a lot of students nowadays are just recording classes. So if you haven't done that now, then you may want to do that in the future. If you have any sort of um, issue that you could go to accommodations for, they can even give you special materials to help you record classes so that you can review it later. So if you need an accommodation, you might want to ask about that. If the teacher's offering review sessions, make sure to take advantage of those. You can ask questions, you can meet other study buddies, and that sort of thing. So like I said, I love group sessions. This can really help you maximize your group work if you have a good group. To do this, you can find a study buddy. And if you didn't know this, there's actually something called a study buddy feature in the Navigate for Students app. If you don't have the Navigate for Students app, you should be using this. It's great for making your tutoring appointments and your academic success coaching appointments and a lot of other things. But it also has a study buddy feature where you can find students in your classes that are willing to study and work together. Like I said, do collaborative work like what I was talking about that I did before. So you might want to have a meeting and break down who's going to do what study guides, who's going to take notes on different chapters, take notes in a Google Doc, share your resources so you guys can break down the work by working together to do different parts. And then make sure that you have good collaborative notes. And then have some meetings where you review the notes, create flashcards, Quizlets. You can review at home and then meet again and quiz each other and review. Of course, you could just like meet via Zoom or in person. Now, one thing that happens a lot with students is they tend to procrastinate. So just make sure you don't get in the way of yourself. So one thing that, or a few things that you can do to beat procrastination are taking a break, staying balanced, and using this Pomodoro technique. So take a break, make sure you do take breaks, schedule breaks into your study time. Don't just think you're going to study for 6 hours straight. It's not healthy, it's not effective. You won't really be able to maximize the information that you're putting into your brain. Do stay balanced. This is another reason it's important to study or, give yourself enough time. Make sure to take breaks to exercise, continue to eat healthily, continue to get sleep. I really do not think like staying up all night studying and cramming for an exam is the best thing to do at all. Best thing to do is sleep and get your rest and just be well rested. The Pomodoro technique is pretty cool. Well, I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but it's kind of like a timing technique that's going to help to keep you motivated and on track if you're feeling like you're having a hard time focusing or paying attention. So this is the Pomodoro technique. There are a ton of apps to help you with this. So you can download a Pomodoro timer. You can just use your own timer. Look online and see what resources are for this because this is a really popular technique. I know that you can download one at Todoist. But basically, it's just a thing where you time yourself. So pick a task. Let's say you're studying for a final exam, work on it for 25 minutes, and then you take a 5-minute break, and then you work for another 25 minutes. So these are called Pomodoros, the 25 minutes. And after every 4 Pomodoros, you take either like a 15 or a 30-minute break. So you're able to work in these like shorter spurts and then, take a little break and then just get right back to it. And it helps you stay motivated. It helps you like kind of break it up into manageable tasks and also to keep you from feeling just like tired from studying so long. One thing I noticed that people are doing now on TikTok is they're posting like a live and doing like group study sessions. So they'll just put like a sign up and say like, you know, accountability session, study with me right now. And I kind of like that idea of people just motivating each other by saying, hey, let's get together and study. You might want to do that. You might want to look for things like that, follow people that do that. Now, it's important to reward yourself. So if you've done a really good job this semester, make sure to give yourself something to look forward to after. So whatever it is that's nice for you, maybe it's going shopping a little bit or having a nice dinner, whatever it is, plan some reward for whenever you finish. For anyone that feels disorganized, you can use Kanban List. There's a Kanban app. Basically, it helps you create lists and checklists of tasks to do. So it can kind of, if you feel overwhelmed and you don't know what to do first, it can help you organize your ideas and decide the different tasks and then the different like subtasks that you need to do for each one. Also, if you make these lists and then you go to get to work and you just don't feel like it and you feel like you're procrastinating, just pick one of them and get started. Studies show that after 10 minutes of working, it's likely that you're going to keep working. And if you just do that one thing, well, at least you've done that one thing and you can check it off. There's another technique called the Ivy Lee technique. I do something like this. I kind of do like a weekly one, but I will also do one in the morning. But anyway, like the night before you study, or maybe that morning, outline 6 of your biggest goals to accomplish the next day, and then start with the most important one first. I tend to group my goals into like 3 bigger goals. Um, and that's kind of what I tend to do in a day, like one for the morning, one for the afternoon, one for the evening type thing. But it just depends how you organize your time and your work. But I think knowing what you want to achieve, ideally you have those on your study planner. Every night you can review your study planner and then revise if something needs changing. You can add your 6 goals to it every day or however many goals you want to do. Now, some people say they get very distracted. So, if you're a very distracted type person, you might want to use a website blocker to block the websites that distract you during your study hours. Basically, just know your most distracting activities, anything that just like kind of sucks you in and you can't get out. It could be scrolling on social media, using TikTok, playing video games. For me, it's TikTok. And basically, I know like I cannot ever watch TikTok in the middle of the day because it will suck me in. So this is something I save for after all of my work is done. However, Facebook doesn't really distract me. So if I'm doing something like the Pomodoro technique, I might take 5 minutes, look at Facebook or the news feed, and then get back to my work. So you have to know yourself and leave your most distracting techniques for or activities for after work. And then you also might want to break down your tasks into 5-minute tasks, and you can take several breaks if needed. So, for example, with an essay, and I do this all the time, break it down into a 5-minute task of choosing a topic, then come back to it, find your resources, stop, take a break. When you come back to it, make a quick outline, and then of course writing the draft will take more than 5 minutes. But breaking it down into these stages can help you feel more accomplished and less frustrated. Now, I had a lot of students ask me questions about the organizational styles. Um, some people say, like, okay, well, I'm forgetful and I tend to end up doing things at the last minute. Do you have any suggestions? For this, you really need to do the power planning. Um, and you should be doing this at the beginning of the semester when you get your syllabus so that you're always looking ahead. Each week, you can do a review, what you've done, what you need to do. This will set you up for success going into finals. Some people said, like, okay, tell me about time management and creating a schedule. Like I said, I have a great training called the power planning training and the goal setting system. They kind of go together. I would say watch those. They are really essential to getting on track for school, and they are a good complement to this training. Some students have asked, like, what can I expect with my finals? So like I said, with humanities, it really depends on the teacher. You can have a lot of different types of finals for humanities. So it's important to look at your syllabus, communicate with your teacher, go to those office hours to find out what to expect. What is the best way to ensure I cover all the material for class? So I think using the syllabus at the beginning to understand how the course is structured so that you can create study guides all the way along, take notes of important things, and then really at the end you're just reviewing that. That's important. But if you haven't done that, then definitely use those office hours to ask about study guides and to really grill the teacher about what's going to be covered and the best way to do it. And look at those things like we talked about: key terms, reviewing chapters, identifying objectives of the course. That will take a lot more work than just simply doing that all the way along the course. So for your next session, I recommend sort of planning from the beginning for it and keeping all of your notes and being organized. We talked about different ways to eliminate distractions. Definitely keep this training and go back and pause it and look at the different apps and suggestions that we've made. Someone said, what are some ways that people who have shorter attention spans avoid cramming? So like I said, the Pomodoro method is really good. Um, uh, Planning ahead, using that power planning and the goal setting system that I talked about. There's a full training in the success library, planning it out a month in advance. Those are the things that are going to help you. But really, that's a habit that you need to get into of always adding more time for that. Is it a good idea to give yourself scheduled study times? Yes, definitely. Definitely. If you don't, you won't know what you need to do or need to cover, and you won't get anything done. Okay, everybody, so don't forget to access our resources. We are here to help you with academic success coaching, even at the end of the semester. You can submit any essays to BrainViews for feedback. You can get extra tutoring there. I'm not sure what the tutors are working on finals also, so I'm not sure what their availability is, but you may be able to use a tutor or a writing center. You can review all of our workshops in the success library. These are the citations I've used if you want to go ahead and read about those articles yourself. And thank you again. Good luck on your finals. I know you're going to do amazing. And don't forget to book a session with us at the beginning of the next semester so that you can get started from day one to plan out and be prepared for the entire year or semester. Okay, have a great one.